you've been following along with the recent article reviews, we've come to the final one. Congrats, you made it. Well done. Last one for the Psychology Today, June 2025 issue. Again, if you're watching this in May, you're early somehow. Somehow I have this magazine and we're talking about it. The very last article is what I'm talking about. It's very short. How to Never Stop Learning. And with respect to people who wrote it, I'm actually going to focus less on them and just more on anecdotal experience. They did prompt it, so recognition where that's at. The author of this, uh, really the excerpt writer slash editor, I think Abigail Fagan, interviewed Sarah Ruhl, who is award-winning playwright. Abigail asked Sarah about this one question, which is, what have you learned from your teachers? And Sarah gives her answers. And I appreciate the prompt for it. But really, she highlights the importance of her own teachers and her role as a teacher and the role that that plays with her students. And one of the biggest lessons I have ever learned, and it's up there with one of the most valuable things I have ever learned, is that everybody has something that they can teach you. Every single person, so much so that when I wrote my final paper for grad school on driving beliefs, is that I refuse to have a conversation with someone if I don't think they can teach me something, because that means I'm coming in with superiority over them and I won't listen. If they can't offer me anything, and not transactionally, but they understand the world or something differently and more accurately even, or just a perspective that's not mine, that I can understand more of. Everyone offers that. And if I can't get, and that's to me a fact, and I feel very strongly about that. And if I can't put my head in that place, all I'm going to do is disrespect their intelligence and experience. I can't have a conversation with someone if I'm going to treat them that way. I have to believe that they can teach me something. And again, it's not like hey, I need you to educate me, I need you to teach me. It's that they have something to offer because of their uniqueness in themselves, and they bring something to the world that no one in history has ever had. And when they are gone, that will be gone forever. They are unique, and that it doesn't really matter where they're at in life. And if we can sink our pride around this, it helps so much. My personal example of this is I used to be a route setter at a climbing gym. I was a proud senior setter and could go in whenever I wanted and set climbing routes. One of the best seasons of my life. I loved it more than quite a lot of other activities, frankly. A long story short, the opportunity eventually disappeared. The gym closed down. And that's when I stopped doing it, when the gym closed. I might even still be doing it today if it was still open. I loved it so much. The person who taught me was about 10 years younger than me, was a high schooler. And they were a very good climber and had trained to be a setter and knew what they were doing. And I'd already had this philosophy. But I know a lot of people who really just don't give respect to people who are younger than them. And it was such a good reminder for me that, as far as I was concerned, this person was my boss. Now, we talked about other topics, and there were plenty of things that I had more knowledge on and had maybe more intelligence on, especially as career went. I was already into my career and knew a lot about topics that we would talk about. When it came to setting routes, I was an ignorant student. Doesn't matter that the person was 10 years younger than me. And it just helped my experience so much to learn from him in as close to humility as I could find. Where it's, dude, you know what you're doing, plain and simple. I don't really know what to pay attention to with setting. I don't know for the bigger holes when to anchor them in with screws, and I don't know how tight to, and this won't screw in. What's the issue? Do I need to thread it or not? All this stuff. I didn't learn how to clean the holes. That was a different thing, but just picking and how to go about that and what to pay attention to, and even what the gym rules are for overall safety. There were some weirdly creative routes that I chose to make that I didn't know if I was allowed to make, and getting that input all the time. And through my training, became a senior setter, but still at the end of the day, that person was, as far as I was concerned, above me. There was another like head setter who was above this person. They were older than me, I believe, but I overlapped with the person who was younger than me more. And so I brought it to them most of the time. We occasionally asked the head setter some questions because we never really were there at the same time. But I think back to how big of a deal that season of time was for me. And if any pride were to have come in and not allowed me to learn from him, I would have missed out on such a cool season of my life. And it was something I already knew, but man, did it reinforce the importance of just always being a student. And even today, I find it important to, sometimes I pay people to learn things, but other times it's just trying to be a student. I want to always be a student, and I want to always be a teacher. I want to always be offering guidance and be able to teach people because it refines me and it helps give back to people stepping into something I'm already doing. And to always find teachers for myself. The big one right now is I'm in a season of life where I've thought it would be valuable to improve musically, and I wanted to be able to sing better my whole life, and I've been doing months of vocal lessons. And it's very humbling to step in and just look like a fool at something towards a goal of getting better. And objectively, I'm better now. And once I'm doing really well in that area, I want to find something else. And I don't just want to drop things. I don't want to hobby jump. But I want to always be a student. And with how I run my business, that happens naturally because always trying to step it up to the next level, you're always in a state of humility, having to learn. So when you get too knowledgeable and too comfortable, you kind of stop learning. Um, and I can understand moving slower at different periods of time, but there's always a category where I'm learning and developing. There's always an area where I'm offering and teaching. And I think it's a beautiful combination. And I encourage everyone to pursue both, pursue being a student and a teacher. Depending on your experience with the school system, those might feel very weighted and uncomfortable. And I acknowledge that. I also still think it's important. So, yeah, that'll do it. We got through the whole issue. Look at that. We did it. Yeah, hopefully more to come. I like doing these videos, and some of them do shockingly well, and some of them don't, and it's just fun to talk about. And I feel like I learn a lot from these, and I enjoy getting to kind of add some of the commentary there. And for those that stick around, I enjoy having you here. So, and I'm also very open if you find articles that you find interesting. This channel is absolutely still small enough where throw those in the comments, and there's a high chance I'll just talk about it because I'm all about engaging with you all. And while it's small, I have quite a lot of capacity to engage. So, uh, as far as I'm concerned, anyone take advantage of that while it's there. So, yeah, we're looking forward to more discussions on this type of stuff. And yeah, that's about it. Enjoy the rest of your morning, day, or evening, and you'll hear more from me soon.